Picture Paris on July 28, 1794, at the twilight of a revolution that reshaped the trajectory of human history. The setting sun spills over the blade of the guillotine in the Place de la Révolution, casting a chilling, vitreous glint. Seated upon the tumbril awaiting execution is a young man, only 26 years of age, possessed of a celestial beauty that once left the socialites of Paris in rapture. His silken, pale golden hair cascades over his shoulders. His gaze is as tranquil as one observing a distant sunset that does not concern him. He remains shrouded in silence, as if the vitriol of the surrounding mob were nothing more than meaningless gusts of wind. His name was Louis de Saint-Just. Tonight, by the rhythmic flicker of the hearth and through this narrative meant to be felt rather than memorized, let us step into the true odyssey of his life. He was the youngest titan of the French Revolution, the agent of death who, in his early 20s, held the fates of countless aristocrats and royalists in his hands. Possessing the coldest of quills and the purest of ideals, he made the guillotine the protagonist of the nation within a mere 3 years. This is a story of sublime youth, of the fanaticism of ideals, and of a profound yet ruthless devotion to the republic hidden beneath a fatal beauty. Before 1789, the trajectory of Saint-Just's life resembled a rebellious epic of youth. He was not born of poverty. His father was a retired cavalry officer, and his family held a respectable manor in the countryside. Yet this lad, handsome to the point of being eldritch, possessed a restless and precociously matured soul. While his peers were schooled in the niceties of social etiquette, he was drowning in the republican ideals of ancient Rome, dreaming of a pristine world devoid of kings and defined solely by virtue. In a fit of defiance triggered by a forbidden romance, he once fled to Paris with a family silver and penned a satirical poem of thousands of lines, steeped in blasphemy. This extreme fervor and unrest ensured that when the tsunami known as revolution arrived, he would instantaneously become its sharpest crest. Rising through the ranks of the National Guard in Aisne, his rhetoric was as precise as an icicle, piercing through the hypocrisy of mediocre bureaucrats. Understand that Saint-Just's purity was a predatory force. He could tolerate no compromise nor middle ground. In his first missive to Robespierre, he wrote, "I do not know you, but you are the pillar of this nation." This absolute exaltation of willpower allowed him, amidst the rhythm of his tranquil footsteps, to quietly orchestrate the birth of a new world. In September 1792, Saint-Just entered the National Convention, a theater of smoke and debate, as its youngest deputy. When he first ascended the rostrum, the seasoned veteran politicians were awestruck by his exquisite visage and glacial tone. His maiden speech concerned the trial of Louis XVI, and he uttered but a single sentiment that left all of France trembling: no one can reign innocently, every king is a rebel and a usurper. In that moment, Saint-Just stripped away the complexities of legal debate, reducing them to the primal logic of life and death. He realized that to build a perfect republic, every rotten foundation of the old world had to be uprooted from the ruins. He became the animating spirit of the Committee of Public Safety. In the dead of night, his slender hand gripped the quill, signing death warrants across countless dossiers. This fanatical thirst for order transformed him into an impersonal cipher. He eschewed all social graces and amusements, honing himself into a blade of steel forged from virtue. He was known to sigh before his oil lamp in the dark, yet the strokes of his pen never faltered. To him, blood was merely a solvent to wash away the filth of the old society. So long as the ideal remained pure, no price was too steep to pay. Yet, Saint-Just was far more than a cold-blooded bureaucrat. Issuing decrees from the rear, he was a hero who galloped into the fray to salvage hope from desperation. When the armies of the coalition pressed upon the borders and the French soldiers crumbled under hunger and fear, Saint-Just appeared at the front as a representative on mission. Clad in his signature, impeccably tailored blue-violet uniform with the tricolor sash of authority about his waist, he watched every deserter with a glacial eye. He dealt not in ethereal encouragement, but in discipline and results. He executed officers who embezzled supplies, compelled the wealthy to donate boots for the troops, and personally led charges on the flanks. In temporary tents filled with the wounded and the biting wind, he penned his famous military maxim, "Only the offensive is the best defense." This supreme agency earned him a fearsome moniker among the rank and file, the Archangel of Terror. He was like a god of war stepping out of a Greek tragedy, beautiful and lethal. From the mire of chaos, he forged a republican army that was near invincible. When he returned to Paris, he carried the scent of gunpowder and the baptism of the battlefield. The sang-froid he brought back from the brink of death made him the most unshakable pillar at Robespierre's side. The pinnacle of power is often frigid and solitary. By the spring of 1794, Saint-Just had already sensed the creeping silence. Walking the streets of Paris, he saw the once cheering crowds grow mute. Their eyes held no passion, only a profound dread of the guillotine. He knew the revolution had reached its most perilous hour. The violence meant to protect the republic was metastasizing into a self-devouring monster. Yet, he did not turn back. In his speeches before the convention, he prophesied his own demise, his voice remaining as hard as marble. He described the nature of power. It was like a silent hunt in a blizzard. Once you took up the rifle, there was no way back. In his midnight journals he wrote, "I have but one friend in this world, and that is my conscience, even if it be a stone of ice." On the night of the Thermidorian reaction, amidst the chaos of the Hotel de Ville, he watched his comrades' desperate struggles with equanimity, simply adjusting his cravat. This icy detachment, seeing the trajectory of fate and yet willingly becoming its sacrifice, was his ultimate anchor. Moments before his arrest, he pointed to the grand declaration of the rights of man on the wall and whispered to his captor, "It is, after all, my work." This transition from absolute control to absolute transcendence bestowed upon his life a dignity as tragic and pristine as a wilting rose. On the afternoon of July 28, 1794, Saint Just lay calmly beneath the guillotine, gazing one last time at the azure sky of France. When the blade fell, the entire city seemed to slip into a profound, Saint Justian silence. He departed with absolute cleanliness, as if finishing a life derivation calculated to the very last second. He provided the answer to the question posed in the prologue. He forfeited the years of beauty he might have enjoyed, but won an eternal seat debated by posterity forevermore. And you, now, do you feel it? That sense of peace, as cold and stable as the guillotine's blade, reaching across 2 centuries? The Jacobin banners have long since faded, and the tales of Versailles have gathered dust. Only Saint Just's fatal obsession with a pure ideal remains in the deep midnight of history, like a dim but searing flame. This is a strength that requires no forgiveness, the finality of an agent of death. Tonight, may you drift into sleep accompanied by the scent of ink from Saint Just's manuscripts and the steadiness born of his absolute composure. The world has fallen silent. It is time for you to let go of the day's distractions. Good night.